last week I posted a video uh, in which I presented some of the best moments I spent last year talking to many guests that I had. So, but this week I'm doing something not too far removed from what I did last week, but on a very different note. I intend of showing you this week uh, the videos that receive more views. I don't know why. Don't ask me why a particular video receive more views than others. Um, I just don't know. It could be perhaps that at the time the algorithm picked up the video, this one happened to be lucky. He get more exposure than the other. But for me, from the bottom of my heart, every single one of my conversations, I enjoyed. I enjoyed every single one of them. So yeah, but precisely this is why what I intend to show you this week. And but before I do so, I just want to remind you of my last novel, Bittersweet Memories of Last Spring. I'd just like for you to get a copy of it. I've been very forceful about it. If you haven't done so, just don't forget to get yourself a copy. And if you have, you can always talk to a friend if you believe that the story is worth sharing. So far, many of you told me just that. And also, I just want to make a quick observation about CSMS Magazine. The magazine is, as you know, is the parent publication of the conversation. I'm asking everyone to be a little bit patient. If you see your video has not been published, the problem was I have been and continue to be I've been very very busy over the past few months with writing projects. I have so many of them, and it doesn't mean that your video, your conversation will not be published. This year, I am making a commitment to making sure that I'll be more proactive in terms of updating the magazine. And I also plan on creating a much more cohesive team of writers. And if you are a writer watching this video and you are interested, you can always let me know. So let's get started.
Well, that's a good question and a great observation. It actually, I think you're right. I think predominantly it is the father that has the most issues with it, especially if it's a gay son.
Mhm.
But as far as a woman being gay, it can be pretty equal as far as mother or father,
Okay.
many times having a difficult time with it. Even though I think in a lot of media, it's portrayed usually that it's usually always the father.
Okay. To some extent, you know, the what the world doesn't see, especially when it comes to play geopolitics.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, this novel, The Secrets We Live In, is really um, an episode of multiple episodes of chaos. And it is chaos personified, but it's chaos personified in the view of the characters that are in it. And if you were to see parallels of it in reality, you will find that in any kind of political and economic situation.
He said, even though I didn't have the same experiences as the characters in this novel, I could identify with them on every page. And I totally agree with Gabrielle because after I read the book, I felt as though I knew the protagonist and he lived in my neighborhood. He seems so real. And although I know that this is a work of fiction, I keep on thinking, oh, he seems so real. So my question is that, by any chance, do you happen to meet someone like Irvin, or does anyone have any resemblance to this character? Because he seems very real to me.
You said that, of course, it's a fictional story, but also, Rashmi, fiction reflects reality. And I think that's why most of us, if not all of us,
Mhm.
relate to this young man. To see him, to different stages of his life. Yes, of course, I can proudly say that this young man has some reflection of my own experiences growing up in Miami. I came to the United States when I was 18, in this case, 17.
Mhm.
And of course, I came in also in a boat. I didn't come to the United States in a plane. So I was able to capture this moment, those worries on the high seas, among with strangers that you don't know. So in a sense, I was writing my own story when I was writing those lines. So
Beautiful.
that's the reason why so many of my friends and strangers who have read the story tend to relate to it. So I wrote that from the bottom of my heart, all the world to see.
Um,
So Sarah, welcome to the conversation again.
Thank you. That's actually second edition of Honey 1.
Anyone? Okay.
That's what that is. And we're finally releasing it in hardback, which makes me so happy. I love the new
Right.
art. I'm over the moon about the new cover image. It's just beautiful. But yeah, it's second edition of the first book because, you find things that you'd like to improve about it. I've got some 5-star ratings on Amazon, which are emblazoned on the front.
Great.
I am working on Honey too, though, I promise.
Okay.
Someday.
But that's okay because your writing is so beautiful. So anything you put out there, I believe your friend, and I'm one of them, so we'll ultimately pick it up. So I can't wait to lay my hand on it. But Alice, my good friend, last time also we talked. By the way, Alice Liddell is the author of several books. Among them, one I really, really love is Geisha Hands. I wolfed down the book when I was reading it, quite frankly. She's also the author of Geisha. She has several books, but Geisha Hand, let me just get them right. Love of the Sea, Tearing Down the Wall. And of course, so many of them, a collection or several collection of poetry. Alice Liddell doesn't sleep. She writes and writes and writes. So again, Alice, I'm so happy to have you back in the conversation. Welcome.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So where are we in the project now? I know you were working on the historical fiction.
Yeah, I have my fingers in several projects, as I always do, because that's how I roll. So my most recent release is my novella, Pandora. It is a Regency era fantasy about a water nymph. Really cute, really fun story. And I have been doing second edition releases of my romance novels with brand new covers. So really awesome with that. And I'm currently querying, trying to woo a literary agent with my French Revolution dark vampire book, Succumb to Darkness. And I'm also currently working on writing my next romance novel, Be Mine, as well as my next historical fiction novel, Marie Antoinette.
Ms. Ford, would you please give us a little bit like a sneak preview about the Obsidian Collection Archives?
Well, the Obsidian Collection Archives was formed in 2017, and its primary purpose was to digitize the Black history through images and some documents for the diaspora, so Black images around the world. And soon after, we discovered the need to aggregate the Black journalists, if you will, as well. And so we have a platform called Wrote, and that is a forum for all Black writers to kind of register and show some of their works. And all of that kind of makes up the Obsidian collection. We have Wrote, we have Obsidian House, we have Obsidian Archives. So it's all of that comes together to the Obsidian collection.
And if I may say, that will also include the Michelle Jackson Initiative also, which is Black Writers Workspace.
Yes.
Michelle?
But that's how we met. And we're collaborating around our Wrote platform and all of her good works. We're kind of piggybacking on her legacy.
And you know what? And what's so impressive about Michelle is just the fact that through her initiative, so many young Black talents have been discovered. And that's important to me personally, because I'm a strong believer of Black literature. So Michelle, would you please tonight explain to us a little bit more about this new initiative, this new project that you have right now?
As always, thank you so much for having me. This is my second time you've interviewed me. I've interviewed you once. It's always great.
Yeah.
I was really lucky to meet Angela, I think last year when we met and I interviewed you, and Angela was telling me about her initiatives. And she is so passionate about making sure that the Black community is in our images are being preserved. And so when she came to me and we started talking about creating some type of partnership, we wanted to do something that would allow us to bring together the two things that we love the most. One is making sure that the Black community, the culture is in our images and our ideas and thoughts are being well preserved, as well as providing resources for those creatives. And so we created the Black Creators Collaborative. And what that is, it is a partnership between the Obsidian Wrote Initiative and her Obsidian Wrote. It is what I call the Black Writers LinkedIn. It's a place, a platform where you can go, you can provide or create a profile, you can upload your work. And so the goal here is to get all of our Black writers, it doesn't matter if you're a journalist, a poet, a playwright, it doesn't matter what type of writing you're doing, but get you to create those profiles and share that knowledge with your peers, as well as position them to actually be looked at by top brands.
So could you please elaborate a bit further, just for the purpose of education, Professor Sider?
Yes, well, when he was captured and ended up in this terrible prison in France, where he spent the last year of his life, the War of National Liberation had already started in Saint-Domingue, and the war had started because Napoleon had sent a very large invading army, basically not only to overthrow the revolutionary regime which Toussaint had created, but also effectively to restore slavery. And indeed the French did restore slavery in other parts of the Caribbean that were under their control. So this was a war which was fought to the death, and although Toussaint was captured, his lieutenants, most notably Dessalines, led the war to its successful conclusion. And this is really the wonderful, in a sense, it's almost, I was about to call it the epilogue, but actually it's a whole chapter in itself. Once the Haitian War of Liberation has ended, Haiti becomes this shining example for all the men and women across the Atlantic world.